Hello to everyone. So this is a video about growing and fertilizing plants in organic or inorganic media. In my experience, there are several factors to consider before you start fertilizing. First is, wherever you choose to grow should be well lit with natural sunlight or supplemented with a grow light. The space should have good air circulation all throughout the day, and if growing under low humidity conditions, also should be supplemented with artificial humidifiers. All my plants, whether orchids, Hoyas or aeroids, are outside in the full sun and partially shaded spots, and I'm growing in a tropical climate. Therefore, since we are open to all natural elements, I am forced to fertilize more to keep up with the weather. These days, due to the continuous raining, I had to allow the rain to fertilize my plants when I couldn't step outside. The next point is, you should do regular checks on your plants to avoid unnecessary surprises like outbreaks of pests or fungus, because if the plant is in a stress mode without your knowledge, the nutrient absorption is disturbed and fertilization is redundant as per my belief. Because like the immunity in our bodies, if sick, the immunity in a plant is also low, the key structures of the plant will fail too, if not treated for the sickness but fertilized. For an example, there might be leaves showing signs of severe dehydration, which indicates a root rot. You also might find a mealybug or two unexpectedly, or patches on your leaves which indicates a deficiency. And if I take the last example and explain, patches of washed up green or light yellow on leaves which are highly irregular to the color of the plant can be an indication of a magnesium deficiency as well as a mite attack. Therefore, these checks will train your eye to clearly identify the problems and to remedy the situation before going ahead with your regular fertilizing. Other key points to consider are, if your fertilizer causes a lot of mineral buildup, if it's too strong for the plant, if you are over fertilizing by mixing too much, or if you are overusing foliar sprays because you want your plant to grow faster. Please note that excess amounts of any kind of fertilizer would only mutate structures in your plant because the excess amounts of hormones in them. At the same time, if your fertilizer is in bad quality due to improper storage or has expired, please refrain from using them, which can be redundant or actually harmful to your plant. So I would recommend you the purchase of any reputed brand after checking the manufactured date. But the golden rule in introducing a new fertilizer to your epiphytes is weekly. That is a weaker solution on a weekly basis. Therefore, keep this in mind. Then you have to compare the condition of the media in your pot with the health of your plant. If the media you use is in excellent quality, your plant is happy. But if the media dries up too quickly, stays wet for weeks, doesn't absorb water but rolls off, if it smells bad or mushrooms sprout from the media, you have to repot before thinking of fertilizing. Don't put it off, because by the time you repot, if all your roots have desiccated, the recovery will be painstakingly long. Before fertilizing, you can also decide to give it a week or two to allow the roots to adapt to the new media. Some fertilize soon after the repot, which is fine if the plant is healthy. I discard all organic media from reuse, but the inorganic media I would soak overnight in a light bleaching solution and reuse in future repottings. If you can create your own potting mixture to suit your growing needs, either by individually purchasing each item and mixing in ratios or by buying a reputed brand, make sure to check before purchase to eliminate the risk of taking home crushed or bad products. New bark, which are also in the highest quality, has a tendency to not retain water at first. If that is so, you have to take measures to soak the bark overnight or run water through the plant thoroughly after repotting. This step can eliminate air gaps in the pot and will also wash off any remaining dust too. But you have to make sure that your media dries up between waterings or fertilizing, least until your plant establishes in your pot. Let's talk about fertilizer absorption with pots and media. After you repot and start fertilizing, it is a must you flush your pots, because the media gets acidic when we keep bombarding with fertilizer. Flushing your pot under a shower, a sink faucet, renews the conditions inside the pot by circulating new oxygen, enabling the roots to breathe better, lowering the pH levels that would help the next nutrient spray to be better absorbed by the roots, and also to keep the potting medium fresh from degrading faster. Therefore, any plant in organic or inorganic media should be flushed, preferably once a week or at least once every 2 weeks. Also, make sure there's good draining ability in your pot. Clear air slots at the bottom as well as the sides are crucial in getting rid of the before mentioned excess minerals or degrading material from your pots. So check if there's dirt or big pieces of media stuck to the air slots, which would increase the probability of excess water retention and less drying or less to no air movement in the media, which would lead to a root rot. So if you feel like you can punch more holes around the pot as an extra preventative measure, please do this before repotting. As you can see, everything I mentioned go hand in hand to enable a good absorption of nutrient to your Hoya or orchid. If one fails to match with the other, the whole mechanism will start failing one by one, but the outcome will be very sad and too hard of a recovery. Let's talk about what's in fertilizer. All fertilizers contain 3 macronutrients and 7 micronutrients. Nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, stated on the label as NPK, are the main nutrients provided in any plant health. And next to NPK there will be a plus sign with the letters TE, which stands for trace elements, which are added in a very small percentage to the fertilizer. These help different functions of the plant, namely these are boron, zinc, manganese, iron, copper, molybdenum and chlorine. So if I break it down for easy understanding, there will be various ratios of fertilizers, such as, for example, 30 10 10, 10 52 10, 10 10 44, but each would provide a main function as per the highest number in the mix. If we take the first example of 30 10 10, 30 is the highest number on the label. Therefore, that fertilizer is high of nitrogen. But the fertilizer includes all other nutrients also, just included in small quantities, only heighten the required action needed from nitrogen for that fertilizer. I'll give you some basic knowledge about the NPK, that is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium in fertilizer. Even though there are so many functions carried out by nitrogen, the basic idea about nitrogen is that it is really great for greener leaves. So like the example I quoted earlier, you can go for a high nitrogen fertilizer, especially for Hoyas. And if you want to root something like a Hoya cutting or strengthen an existing root system, you can select a high phosphorus fertilizer. And finally, if you want to encourage flowering, a high K bloom booster is the way to go. Also, without differentiating as above, you can purchase a 20-20-20 where the NPK ratio is equal and would provide a balanced nutrient to your plant. My fertilizers are organic, which I make at home and I spray once a week. But if it rains every day, as I mentioned earlier, I spray twice a week or I let the rain take care of it. So to recap, less is more and keep your fertilizing simple. Always check your plant for any changes. Have faith, meaning consistency in your fertilizing. Fertilizing is not everything and there are other key factors to consider when growing a plant. Don't spiral in your care of your plant. Be consistent with your treatments. Do what's suited best for your conditions and you and your plant will be okay. So guys, I hope this video was informative to you. And if there are questions on elaboration on any point I spoke of now, please do drop a comment below. Have a great day everybody. Take good care of yourselves. Bye.